Part 65. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 643. Regarding Yu Yun's decision, Yu Fei did not stop him at all. Instead, he felt gratified and proud in his heart. After all, his son took the initiative to join the team, which shows that he has enough responsibility and courage. And from a strategic point of view, if Lu Feng and others can really pose a threat to the king of Jin, they will definitely be able to allow Jin Wushu and others to divide their troops and return to the capital to support the country. In this way, it would be much easier to eliminate or defeat Jin Wushu's army and resolve the current crisis. Before leaving, Lu Feng suddenly remembered the historical situation in which Emperor Jiaozong of the Song dynasty recalled Yu Fei with 12 gold medals, and specifically asked Yu Fei, "Marshal Yu, I wonder what you think of me and Gu Shan sneaking into Beijing to assassinate the Emperor of Jin." Yu Fei didn't know. Why did Lu Feng ask this question? After pondering for a moment, he replied, although General Liu's trip was unexpected by the enemy and could catch the enemy off guard, after all, going deep alone will definitely be extremely dangerous. However, this move is an act of great justice. If Wanyan Aguda can be killed successfully, the crisis of the Jin kingdom will be solved. The general and all the soldiers under the general will be the great benefactors of the people of the Song dynasty. Of course, even if Wanyan Aguda cannot be killed, it is enough to disrupt the deployment and defense of the Jin kingdom and provide our army with sufficient cover and support. But no matter what, the general's trip must be full of crises. You must be careful and don't act on impulse. If you can kill Wanyan Aguda, kill him. You must not be brave until you die, keep a useful body, and slowly figure it out. The kingdom of Jin will be destroyed. After listening to Yu Fei's words, Lu Feng felt that Yu Fei was worthy of being a loyal and good man, and his analysis was sound and logical, but in fact, Lu Feng wanted to let him. What Yu Fei said was to admit that they were going. Only Yu Fei could know the danger of going here, and Lu Feng could continue what he said next. "Marshal Yu, it is precisely because there are many dangers in going here, so I will give you another one." Seeing the seriousness of Lu Feng's words, Yu Fei also took it seriously. He said matter-of-factly, "If General Lu has any requests, just ask him. As long as Fei can provide help, he will definitely be there." With Yu Fei's words, Lu Feng said, "Actually, this matter is simple, just ask Yu Fei to help." "Marshal, no matter what happens, do not withdraw your troops before you lead your people back. Otherwise, once your army, Marshal Yu, retreats, and no one can contain Jin Wushu's army, he will inevitably lead the entire army back to Beijing to help. At that time, if we are attacked from both sides, we will be in a critical situation. In fact, with the strength of Lu Feng's gold-killing team, he doesn't have to worry about the danger of being attacked from both sides. Not to mention that he is the first Supreme Tiger General in 2000 years, and there are infinite generals like Li Yuanba. Not to mention that Jin Wushu only has 100,000 people, even millions of Jin troops want to surround and kill Lu Feng and others are absolutely unbeatable. Moreover, in addition to Lu Feng and Li Yuanba, there is also Pei Yuanqing, a half-step Wuji general, and Yu Yun and Dian Wei, two peerless generals. In terms of top combat power, Lu Feng's gold-destroying team is not only in the kingdom of Jin, but also in the kingdom of Jin. The whole world is also invincible. In addition to these 5 generals, the Dragon Martial Soldiers are the 7th-level division of Kings, and the Red-Blooded Dragon Cavalry is the 8th-level Invincible division. Although these two armies only have 100 people in total, they are enough to defeat each of them. One is worth 100. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the Philu Novel app. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 644. It can be said that these 100 people can definitely explode the combat power of 100,000 people. At least, facing the two-sided attack of the Jin army, they will have no difficulty in breaking through the encirclement. The reason why Lu Feng took the initiative to show weakness and explain to Yu Fei that he did not want to be attacked from both sides was mainly because he did not want Yu Fei to be summoned back by Song Jiaozong's 12 gold medals before he returned with his troops. After all, according to the development of history, once Yu Fei returns to Beijing, under the conspiracy of Zhao Go and Qin Hui, Yu Fei will not be able to escape this unfounded crime. Although even with this unfounded charge, as long as Lu Feng and others were fully capable of rescuing Yu Fei before he was executed, that would take a lot of energy. Moreover, once Lu Feng leads people to rob the prison or the court and rescue Yu Fei, he will inevitably be charged with treason and rebellion. After all, if the king wants his minister to die, he must die. With Yu Fei's loyalty to the country and even his character of foolish loyalty, it is hard to say whether Lu Feng would be willing to escape with Lu Feng even if he successfully robbed the prison. If Yu Fei refuses to leave and insists on being loyal to the Song dynasty, then Lu Feng's mission in coming to the southern Song dynasty will be impossible to complete. This is obviously not what Lu Feng wants to see. When Yu Fei heard Lu Feng's request, he was inevitably a little confused. After all, Lu Feng led his army into the tiger's den alone. Not only was he trapped in a tight siege, but he also helped him contain Jin Wushu. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. How could he possibly defeat Lu Feng? What about retreating before coming back? However, since Lu Feng took the matter so seriously, Yu Fei was doubtful, but he was not ambiguous. He immediately nodded and said, "General Lu, don't worry. General, you are in danger with your men. As the commander of the anti-Jin army, Fei, I must go with you, but since I cannot leave because of my duty, I must stay here to fight for the general to contain Jin and never retreat." Lu Feng is confident about Yu Fei's character, and since he has his guarantee, Lu Feng will not. After saying more, he nodded towards Yu Fei, then gave a hand gesture, then turned around and set off from Tanzhou, heading north to Beijing. The team of 105 people may be said to be more or less, but when it comes to combat effectiveness, no army in the world can underestimate it. In addition, the Jin kingdom itself is not prepared, so the Jin destroying team is unstoppable all the way. It is getting closer and closer to Shangjing. Because this army set out from Tanzhou City, Jin Wushu and all the officials of the Jin kingdom naturally regarded this team as the team formed by Yu Fei. At the same time, Jin Wushu also heard the scouts' report and learned that the Song state had formed a squad of 100 people with extremely strong combat effectiveness. They passed through the border and were about to reach Shangjing. He was immediately frightened and hurriedly prepared to separate some of them. Troops returned for reinforcements. However, before Jin Wushu could give the order, his military advisor advised the commander-in-chief must not divide his troops to go back to Beijing for reinforcements. This must be Yunanman's plan to divert the tiger away from the mountain. Once our army divides his troops and goes back to Beijing for reinforcements, Yunanman will definitely take the opportunity to launch an army to attack the main force of our army. When the time comes, our army will not be strong enough to stop the Yu family army, and our army will be in danger. Because the Jin kingdom is located in the north, roughly equivalent to the current Heilongjiang area, it is very important for the people of the Jin kingdom to come. It is said that they called the people of Song dynasty southern barbarians. Fei Lu reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 645. And Yu Fei is Yunanman. After listening to the military advisor's words, Jin Wushu thought about it carefully and felt that what he said was very reasonable. No matter how strong this 100-man army was, it would only have 100 people. If he divided his troops, it would definitely give Yunanman the opportunity to attack his main force. Chance. But according to the scouts' reports, the combat effectiveness of this army is really strong. If some of his troops return to support, they will probably fight directly to Shangjing. Although Shangjing is the capital of the Jin kingdom, it has good defensive power and can withstand the opponent's attack, but if the opponent's army of more than 100 people can easily break through to the capital, then how can the army of the Jin kingdom lose face? Millions of gold soldiers couldn't even capture Song's 100-man army, so how could we capture the entire Song dynasty? If this happens, even if the guards in Shangjing can destroy this 100-man army, it will be enough to make all the people of the Jin kingdom lose confidence in their country's army. So Jin Wushu thought for a moment and then asked the famous military advisor asked in this case, I wonder if the military advisor has any clever plan to block the 100-man army without allowing Yunanmen to sneak attack our army. Jin Wushu's military advisor squinted his eyes and thought for a moment, then said to Jin Wushu, Commander, Yunanmen is not only good at martial arts, but also has many powerful generals under his command. In addition, the Yu family army has strong fighting power. It is indeed not easy for our army to defeat him. However, we want to solve Yunanmen. It is more difficult, but Yunanmen is not without shortcomings. His biggest shortcoming is that he is too loyal to the Song dynasty, and he can be said to obey the orders of the emperor of the Song dynasty unconditionally. Therefore, if we can make concessions from within Nanman, the emperor of the Song dynasty came to recall Yunanmen, or simply put him in prison and kill him, then all our problems would be solved now. Jin Wushu thought carefully about the planning of the military advisor, and finally found that this was indeed the simplest and feasible solution to Yunanmen's plan. Nanman's method, however, still has a little problem. So Jin Wushu asked the military advisor, Master's plan is indeed a clever plan, but the southern barbarians regard us as the enemy of the great Jin kingdom. It may not be easy for Azi and others to develop their power internally, the Jin military advisor said with a smile. General, you don't have to worry about this. I had a good relationship with Qin Hui, the prime minister of Song dynasty. Qin Hui was keen on power, and he was vicious, cruel, and extremely narrow-minded. In recent years, Yunanmen has led his army to compete with our army, and his reputation and achievements in the Song dynasty have been increasing day by day. It can be said that Qin Hui has been jealous of Yunanmen for a long time, and he quickly got rid of him. If the commander-in-chief wants to use Qin Hui to get rid of the Yunanmen, then the official is willing to make a trip for the commander as an envoy, sneak into Yingtian mansion secretly, and persuade Qin Hui to join forces with Dajin to get rid of the Yunanmen. Jin Wushu was overjoyed when he heard this and said quickly, that's very good. If we can use Qin Hui's hand to get rid of the Yunnan barbarians, the military commander should be credited with the first merit. I will personally report my merits to the military commander, to your majesty. The military advisor got Jin Wushu's promise, and he left the army in high spirits and secretly went to Yingtian Mansion, the capital of the southern Song dynasty. He had no doubts about Jin Wushu's promise to him. After all, Jin Wushu was not an ordinary military leader. Martial, he also has a higher identity, that is, the fourth son beaten by Jin Taiju Wanyanago _ read the underlined version of the novel. Please download Filu novel app, comma. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 646. It can be said that for Jin Wushu, his goal was only to kill Yufei and divide all the territory of the Song dynasty into the territory of the Kingdom of Jin. He had such ambitions, so naturally he would be greedy for his own meager contribution. A few days later, a person came to the door of the Prime Minister's mansion in Yingtian Mansion. I saw this man knocking on the door a few times, and then a doorman poked his head out. After the man whispered a few words to the doorman immediately ran back to the house. After a while, Prime Minister Qin Hui came out in person to greet the man. Enter the mansion. The person who knocked on the door was naturally Jin Wushu's military advisor and his right-hand man, Hamichi. Qin Hui led Hamika to avoid all the slaves and maids in the house, led him into the secret room, and then said, "Brother Hamika, it is now a critical moment for the war between our country, the Song dynasty, and your country, the Jin dynasty. As the military advisor of His Highness Jin Wushu, you appear openly in the palace of the Prime Minister. If someone sees you, not to mention that I, Qin Hui, will not be able to keep my position as Prime Minister. Even my head will be taken away by Emperor Jiaozong of the Song dynasty." Hamichi saw what Qin Hui said, and immediately burst into laughter and said, "Brother Qin Hui, I haven't seen you for a few years, but I didn't expect that your courage is getting weaker and weaker. You are even scared when you see my brother." Qin Hui sighed and said, "It's not that I'm afraid of seeing brother Hamichi, but now that Yu Fei is leading the Yu family's army to fight against your country on the front line, if you and I meet in private, it's inevitable that some people will fabricate it and impeach me in front of Zhaogo." After hearing this, Hamichi couldn't help laughing and said, "Brother Qin Hui, I still remember that when you and I met a few years ago, although your official position in the Song dynasty was not as high as it is now, your courage was not small. Why now? After becoming the Prime Minister, he is so timid when he is above the others." Qin Hui couldn't help but sigh after hearing the contempt in Hamika's words, and said, "It turns out that I am a soft-spoken person, and no one can say anything or do anything. Note, it will be what it is naturally. But now that I am the Prime Minister, there are many people and many pairs of eyes staring at me every day, waiting for me to make some mistakes, so that I can go to Zhaogo to impeach me and dismount me. This position of Prime Minister is just one, and I don't a Euro trademark T know what benefit it will do to them if they are vying to unseat me. Is it possible that everyone can take turns to be the Prime Minister?" After hearing Qin Hui's words, Hamika was immediately stunned. He laughed for a while, and then said, "This tone is the Qin Hui I once knew. If you keep talking to me with the cautious attitude just now, I will look down on you. This is a big gift from me, maybe you can, I won't give it to you." When Qin Hui heard this, he remembered that he was too busy pouring out his sorrows to Hamika, but he forgot to ask Hamika his purpose. However, since Hamika said he would give him a big gift, Qin Hui was also very moved. Then he asked, "I wonder what the great gift that brother Hamika is talking about." Hamika stared at Qin Hui for a long time, and then Qin Hui put his ear to his and said, "I'll tell you the truth, as a brother I came here this time to discuss with you, my dear brother, how to get rid of Yu Fei." After Hamichi finished speaking, Qin Hui was so shocked that he even dropped the teacup in his hand to the ground, and the hot tea splashed all over him without any reaction. Come over. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 647. He looked at Hamika with a shocked face, wondering what kind of medicine the other person was selling in the gourd. Logically speaking, he and Hamika were from 2 sworn enemy countries. VIP. On the one hand is the Prime Minister of the Song dynasty, who is in charge of the military and political affairs of the Song dynasty. One person is more powerful than 10,000 people. He should think about the Song dynasty and try his best to solve the invasion of the Jin kingdom as soon as possible. On the other side was the military advisor of the Jin army. His accusation was to help the Jin army capture the southern Song dynasty as soon as possible. The 2 of them were supposed to be 2 completely opposite forces, but in the end Hamika not only came to his house without concealing his identity, but also wanted to discuss with him how to get rid of Yu Fei, the great marshal of the Song dynasty who resisted the Jin dynasty. Why would he not hide his thoughts and even want to discuss this matter with himself? Isn't he afraid that he would give an order to arrest him and hand him over to Song Jiaozong? Qin Hui's face was full of confusion and shock when faced with Hamika's words, but Hamika seemed to be sure that Qin Hui would not do anything to him, and still looked at him with a smile on his face. After a long time, Qin Hui deliberately changed his attitude and said to Hamika with a cold face, "Brother Hamika, As the Prime Minister of the Song Dynasty, I should think about the Song Dynasty. Yufei is our #1 fighter in the Song Dynasty to fight against the Jin army. Hero, if you want to get rid of Yufei through me, it is absolutely impossible, so you should give up. In addition, you want to find an insider within the Song Dynasty to get rid of Yufei. I know this. Brother Hamika, arrest him to prevent anyone from being persuaded by you. The big harm will be, but since you and I have old friendships and we're close friends, we want a Euro trademark to embarrass Brother Hamika. But please still ask Brother Hamika. Leave Yingtian Mansion as soon as possible and don't a Euro trademark to have any more evil thoughts. If Brother Hamika still refuses to give up and insists on finding someone to frame Marshal Yu, then don't a Euro trademark to blame me for ignoring the past friendship and arresting him and throwing him into the house. Prison. Faced with Qin Hui's threat, Hamika held Qin Hui's eyes tightly, and the two stared at each other for a long time. Qin Hui, who had a ghost in his heart, finally couldn't stand Hamika's confident gaze and sighed, defeated. Seeing Qin Hui's appearance, Hamichi finally smiled, came over and put his arms around Qin Hui's shoulders, and said softly, Brother Qin Hui, although you and I have not been apart for several years and have not had much contact, I don't know anything about you. Forget. Others don't a Euro trademark T know what you are thinking, but I definitely know that Yufei blocked my $1 million army north of the Great Wall, making it impossible for our army to go south, and gave the people of the Song Dynasty a piece of recuperation. This in the past few years, his reputation and achievements can be said to be far stronger than yours, my dear brother. With your character, how could you be indifferent to this and even think about him wholeheartedly? If I guessed correctly, you must be very jealous of this popular person in the eyes of Emperor Jiaozong of the Song Dynasty, and wish you could take all the credit for him. Am I right? After hearing Hamichi's words, Qin Hui's face he was red for a while and livid for a while, but there was no way to refute it. After all, this was indeed what he was thinking. This was enough to show that Hamika's understanding of Qin Hui was indeed well prepared for this time. However, Hamika did not finish speaking, he continued. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the Philu Novel app. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 648. It is precisely because I know your attitude towards Yufei that I found you and sought cooperation with you to get rid of Yufei together. Qin Hui was not only listening to Hamika's words at this time, he was also constantly calculating the gains and losses and pros and cons for him at this time in his mind. When Hamika finished speaking, Qin Hui asked, what should Yufei do? What benefits can I get? Hearing that Qin Hui finally asked about the idea, Hamichi immediately beamed with joy. Being able to ask about the benefits after it was completed showed that Qin Hui had already thought about his plan, at least he no longer rejected it. So Hamichi he smiled and said, of course you are indispensable for these benefits. Not to mention that after getting rid of Yufei, his achievements and the wealth accumulated over the years will go into your pocket. Other benefits are biggest. Once there is no longer Yufei to resist on the front line, the Jin army will soon be able to defeat the Song dynasty's blocking forces along the Great Wall. At that time, there will no longer be any danger from the Great Wall to Yingtian Mansion, and the Jin army's iron hoofs will be able to crush Ying Tianfu. At that time, the entire territory of the Song dynasty will be owned by our kingdom of Jin. And Brother Qin Hui, as the #1 hero who helped us deal with Yufei, after the completion of the matter, Our Majesty the Kingdom of Jin will share the world of Song Kingdom equally with you in order to express our gratitude. Qin Hui's eyes suddenly lit up after hearing Hamika's promise, and he quickly asked, does what Brother Hamika said represent the Emperor of the Jin Kingdom? If we can really conquer the Song dynasty and incorporate the entire territory of the Song dynasty into the territory of the Jin kingdom, Wanyanagouda will naturally be very happy. How can he share the world equally with a slave like Qin Hui who has subjugated his country? But Qin Hui is obviously fascinated by a piece of cake drawn by Qi took away his mind, and Hamika naturally made a promise. Anyway, his task was to persuade Qin Hui to get rid of you, and he had nothing to do with it. After getting a positive answer from Hamika after that, Qin Hui was also excited and asked hurriedly, in that case, I don't know what Brother Hamika needs to do next, how to get rid of Yu Fei, do you have a plan? Brother Hamika must also know that Yu Fei is not only good at martial arts, but also very smart, and has a strong ability to lead troops in battle. With the Yu family's army here, it is definitely not easy to defeat him. After listening to Qin Hui's words, Hamika smiled and said, Brother Qin Hui, why are you so confused? If you want to fight him head-on, why should I ask you for help if I have $1 million army? As far as I know, Yu Fei was absolutely loyal to the Song dynasty, and he was even more loyal to Song Jiaozong and Zhao Ge. He never dared to disobey his orders. Is this possible? Qin Hui heard what Hamika said, and without thinking about it, he replied at that time, Brother Hamika, your intelligence is really good. Then Yu Fei is a brainless person who is loyal to the Song dynasty. I don't trademark T know why Brother Hamika wants to ask this. Hamichi looked at Qin Hui and said word by word, how many people are like this? Why don't brothers Qin Hui accuse Yu Fei of several crimes in front of Emperor Jiaozong of the Song dynasty and ask him to recall Yu Fei to the capital first? After Yu Fei returns to Beijing, he will inevitably be separated from the Yu family army. The Qin Hui brothers only need to make up a random crime against him and execute him soon. In fact, in Qin Hui's heart, he had long been dissatisfied with Yu Fei, Fei. Lu reminds you, 3 things about reading, collect, recommend, and share, 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 649. Because Yu Fei has been leading the Yu family army to resist the invasion of the Jin kingdom in the past few years, and has beaten the Jin kingdom to the point of losing his temper. Therefore, Yu Fei has an excellent reputation among the people and officials in the court. People say that they can have such a stable life thanks to Yu Fei. If it weren't for him, the Song dynasty might have perished long ago. As for Qin Hui, as the prime minister of the Song dynasty, he should have been respected by all officials. Someone should even send him flattery and bribe him in order to achieve something. However, his reputation was completely suppressed by Yu Fei. Therefore, Qin Hui harbored resentment towards Yu Fei and wanted to get rid of him long ago. It's just that Yu Fei is still fighting against the kingdom of Jin on the front line. Without him, the kingdom of Jin will be able to directly invade Linen and destroy the kingdom of Song without any hindrance. By then, even if he, the prime minister, does not die, he will not be able to continue serving. Therefore, even if Qin Hui no longer liked Yu Fei in his heart, he had to let him continue to fight as a soldier outside. However, after settling the cooperation agreement with Hamika, Qin Hui's original worries all disappeared. He does not have to worry about becoming a subjugated slave after the Jin kingdom wipes out the Song dynasty. Instead, he can share the land of the Song dynasty equally with the Jin kingdom and become a king. This is what Qin Hui dreams of. Therefore, with huge benefits and complete preparations, Qin Hui naturally agreed to Hamika's alliance cooperation without hesitation, and after sending Hamika away, he started his own actions. First of all, as the prime minister of the Song dynasty, Qin Hui was in charge of the military affairs of the Song dynasty. Now that Yu Fei was leading troops to fight, all the food, grass, and baggage for his army were distributed by Qin Hui, so Qin's first step was to reduce the distribution of food and grass to Yu Fei's army. After this step was completed, Qin Hui went to court early the next day, stayed, and spoke ill of Yufei to Song Jiaozong. Your Majesty, I have something I don't know whether to say or not. Song Jiaozong still trusted Qin Hui, so he waved his hand. He said to him, if Qin Iking has anything to do, just tell him. Qin Hui replied, Your Majesty, General Fei has been fighting against the Jin army. I wonder what you think of General Yufei. Song Jiaozong was inevitably a little confused about Qin Hui's question. He looked at Qin Hui in confusion and surprise, but he still replied, Wanyanago took advantage of his ambition and kidnapped the second Emperor Huiqin and more than 3,000 people in the clan. This is the shame of the Song dynasty. Now I can sit back and relax in Linen Mansion. We no longer have to worry about the invasion of the Jin kingdom from the south. Thanks to Yu Iking, he is our national hero in the Song dynasty. When the Jin kingdom is pacified, I will be rewarded at this time. Zhao Go had lingering fears about the difficulties of Jinkong and was very worried that he was captured by the kingdom of Jin. Fortunately, when he was most confused, Yu Fei stood up in time and led the Yu family army to block the invasion of the kingdom of Jin. In addition, Yu Fei even regained the territory that the Jin kingdom had snatched away from the northern Song dynasty bit by bit, making the Jin kingdom's army lament that it is easy to shake the mountain, but it is difficult for the Yu family's army. It is precisely because of this that at this time Song Jiaozong Zhao Go still had a strong impression of Yu Fei, and was even quite grateful. However, if Song Jiaozong was grateful to Yu Fei, it was obviously not what Qin Hui wanted to see. He had to get rid of Yu Fei before he could become the king of a country. So Qin Hui quickly organized his words and continued to persuade Song Jiaozong. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the Filu Novel app. A. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 650. Your Majesty, in the past few years, I have been hearing officials from all over the country and people from all over the country praise Marshal Yu, saying that it is because of Marshal Yu that they can live a good life without having to worry about the invasion of the Jin kingdom. After Qin Hui finished speaking, he looked at Song Jiaozong, who seemed to agree with this statement. Qin Hui sighed, feeling that his hints did not seem to be effective, and he needed to explain to him personally. So, Qin Hui went on to say, Your Majesty, have you ever thought about it? However, the people have been so dependent on Yu Fei and the Yu family army, but have they ever had such reliance on Your Majesty? Nowadays, not only the people of the world, but also the Yu family army, a highly combat-effective force, only obey the orders of Yu Fei. A month ago, I served as a supervisor and went to the front line with the grain transport officer. At that time, I wanted to ask several soldiers of the Yu family army to do something, but they did not pay attention to my order at all. However, they rushed to do the same thing after Yu Fei said a word. I went to the army as a supervisor, representing His Majesty, but an ordinary soldier of the Yu family army ignored my request. Therefore, I realize that it is very dangerous to continue like this, and it is very detrimental to His Majesty's rule. Now the Yu family army only knows Yu Fei but not His Majesty. If he is allowed to continue, one day sooner or later, the people will only know Yu Fei and not His Majesty. Qin Hui's words shocked Song Jiaozong. Song Jiaozong naturally understood the meaning of these words, especially when Song Taizha Zhao Quangayan rebelled in Chenqiao and was overthrown by his subordinates in yellow robes, thus establishing the Song dynasty. With such experience, Zhao Go naturally became suspicious in an instant, fearing that one day the Yu family army would also give him a yellow robe, or that the people of the world would support him in proclaiming himself emperor. Qin Hui's words made Song Jiaozong, who originally admired Xing very much and even intended to reward Xing, instantly become suspicious. He must be alert. After all, it is a big taboo to conquer a master with great achievements in any era. Every emperor will be very sensitive to this. After all, what he or his ancestors worked hard to conquer, who can give a minister who is willing to see one of his become a minister? The new emperor. Zhao Go thought about this for a while, and then asked Qin Hui, in that case, Qin Iking, if you have any clever ideas, just tell me. When Qin Hui saw Song Jiaozong asking about his plans, he immediately felt that an opportunity had come. He took out a speech he had prepared and said, according to the minister's suggestion, Yu Fei should be recalled to Linen immediately and placed under strict supervision to prevent him from treason. Heart of. After hearing this, Zhao Go frowned and said, but in this case, who can resist the Jin soldiers from going south? Will our territory of the Song dynasty be handed over to the Jin kingdom again, seeing that? Song Jiaozong seemed a little angry. Qin Hui hurriedly said, of course this suggestion will not allow the Jin army to continue to move south. When your majesty recalled Yu Fei, he sent an envoy to Shangjing to negotiate peace with Wanyanago. The kingdom of Jin was somewhat unable to stop Yu Fei's attack. His Majesty recalled Yu Fei and then went to negotiate peace with the kingdom of Jin, and they would agree. When the time comes for both sides to stop fighting and the world is at peace, and the people know that it was your Majesty who sent people to negotiate peace with the kingdom of Jin that led to such peaceful days, they will definitely praise your Majesty and no longer think about Yu Fei. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share, comma. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 651. After hearing Qin Hui's words, Song Jiaozong immediately felt that it made sense, so he immediately dictated the imperial edict and summoned Yu Fei to return to the capital. As soon as the imperial edict came out, he immediately rushed to the front line. After receiving the imperial edict, Yu Fei seemed very embarrassed. On the one hand, it was His Majesty's summons, and on the other hand, it was the agreement with Lu Feng. The conflict between loyalty and righteousness made Yu Fei not know what to do. How to choose. Fortunately, Yu Fei was not alone at this time. There were many people around him who could help him make decisions. For example, Han Shizhong, the famous general who resisted the Jin kingdom with Yu Fei, had joined forces with him at this time. After Han Shizhong learned of Yu Fei's confusion, he took the initiative to persuade him, Marshal Yu, you must not return to Beijing at this time. With a mere 100,000 troops, you drove Jin Wush's million-strong army all the way to the outside of the Great Wall and could not recover it. His Majesty has always seen the loss of little ground and such merit. Now, Jin Wush's soldiers and horses are obviously unable to resist Marshal Yu's army, and they are gradually showing signs of collapse. Within a few months, Jin Wushu will be a big defeat, and then Marshal Yu can lead his troops to Huanglong. Before that, in order to regain the lost territory of the Song dynasty and avenge the shame of Jinkang, His Majesty gave the marshal full support. However, now that success is imminent, the court has stopped the supply of food and grass for the army has been reduced. This matter is really strange. I thought there was something wrong with our army's food route, and I was about to send someone to have a look. As a result, the imperial court sent an imperial edict summoning you, Marshal, to return to Zuxian town. What happened? By now, it is not difficult to see that there must be a treacherous person in the court. He is afraid that Marshal Yu will have too much credit, so he said bad things about Marshal Yu in front of His Majesty, hoping that the great achievements of the Jin kingdom will be lost. So, Marshal, if you return, not only will your army be unable to pacify the Jin kingdom, but you will play into the hands of the traitor in the court and fall into his control. Please think twice, Marshal. After Han Shizhong finished speaking, General Zhang Xian of the Yu family army also advised Marshal, what Marshal Han said is true. His Majesty summoned you back to Beijing at this time. It is obvious that he does not want you to defeat Jin Wushu and make great achievements. However, it does not matter whether it is credit or not, Marshal still remembers that General Lu Feng a few days ago. How did you request the Marshal when you left with the gold killing team? At this time, General Lu, Yu Xiaobao and other hundreds of soldiers were still in the hinterland of the Jin kingdom, perhaps on their way back from Shangjing. As long as the Marshal could hold on for a few more days, they said maybe he can return safely. The Marshal has promised General Lu Feng that he will not leave on behalf of the county until he returns with the money-killing team. If the Marshal accepts the imperial edict and leaves at this time, wouldn't he become a person who breaks his word? Moreover, once we withdraw our troops at this time, Jin Wushu's army will inevitably return directly to Shangjing. This will not only give Jin Wushu a chance to recuperate, but also put General Lu and others into a situation where they are attacked from both sides. General Lu and the others are alone, going to the capital of the kingdom of Jin to assassinate Wanyan Aguda. This act of righteousness has already excited our soldiers. They are all waiting for the news that General Lu Feng and Yu Xiaobao will return safely after killing the emperor of the Jin kingdom. If the Marshal leads his troops back to Zuxian town at this time, putting General Lu Feng into danger, I am afraid that the officers and soldiers of my Yu family army will not agree. By the way, the general is outside and the military orders are not obeyed. This is not only a critical moment to defeat Jin Wushu's army. Watch. Nothing for the underlined version of the novel. Please download Filu Novel app, A. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 652. It is also a critical moment for Wanyan Aguda's life and death, and it is also an important moment waiting for the return of General Lu Feng and Yu Xiaobao. The subordinate Zhang Xian, on behalf of all the soldiers of the Yu family army, asked the Marshal to think twice and not to return troops easily. After hearing Zhang Xian's words, Yu Fei couldn't help but think that before Lu Feng set off, he repeatedly told him that he must wait for him to come back and never leave the front line no matter what happened. Yu Fei agreed without hesitation at that time, because he didn't expect it at all. What reasons would allow him to leave the front line? It was not until now that the imperial edict from the imperial court was passed to him that he knew what Lu Feng was referring to. But Yu Fei was still a little confused. Could it be that as Lu Feng before leaving, he had already guessed that His Majesty would call him back to Beijing? How could his judgment be so far-sighted? Yu Fei was troubled by Zhang Xian's words and Lu Feng's request before leaving, and he did not think deeply for a while, but he suddenly thought of a possibility. He said to Yu Fei, Marshal Yu, if you are transferred back to the capital by the emperor at this time, have you ever thought about who will be the most direct beneficiary? Although Yu Fei was a little at a loss because of the emperor's imperial edict, he was able to become the anti-Jin general marshal. Both his reaction and intelligence were top-notch. At this time, after hearing Han Shizhong's question, he blurted out, Jin Wushu? Han Shizhong nodded yes. Jin Wushu has been suppressed to the north of the Great Wall by the Yu family army. If he continues to fight, he will definitely lose. Therefore, he should be the one who wants to transfer you away from the battlefield the most. At this time, His Majesty issued an imperial edict to allow your army to return to Zuxian town. It can be said that this was exactly what Jin Wushu wanted. Therefore, I believe that it is very likely that Jin Wushu bribed the ministers in the court, combined with him to make slanderous remarks to His Majesty, and transferred the marshal away from here to give him a chance to breathe. Yu Fei also thought of this possibility at this time. Originally, he did not want to give up attacking Jin Wushu and return to the capital at this time. The main reason why he was a little entangled was to kill the imperial edict. Now that everyone has concluded that this imperial edict was issued by Zhao Go after he was deceived by traitors and believed in slander, then Yu Fei is naturally not willing to abide by it. Especially once he acted in accordance with the imperial edict, he would not only let Jin Wushu go, but also put his son, Lu Feng, and others to death. Therefore, now that he had made a decision, Yu Fei no longer struggled, threw the imperial edict aside and ignored it completely, and commanded the army to continue attacking the Jin soldiers. When Zhao Go, Emperor Jiaozong of the Song dynasty, saw that Yu Fei was completely ignoring his orders and still going his own way, he was furious. Qin Hui also added jealousy to the side and said, "Your Majesty, you see, Yu Fei has been paying less and less attention to you. It turns out that when he was still in the court, he acted loyally and served the country. Now he has led the troops and fought several victorious battles outside. His tail is raised to the sky, and he doesn't even listen to the imperial edict. If he really destroyed the Jin kingdom, with a greater reputation, why don't you just lead the troops to stand on your own and become the enemy of the Song dynasty?" Zhao Go was originally a little angry at Yu Fei's actions, but after hearing Qin Hui's words, he already had murderous intentions towards him, but because he was afraid of the Yu family Jun's strength, so he did not show it for the time being, but sent out gold medals one after another to summon him back to Beijing. Filu reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share.